To all my non-denominational friends, or friends who don't even know what denomination they are because they don't care, this video is for you. Stick around to the end. I'm going to tell you why your viewpoint makes no sense and why denominations matter biblically. First, I'm going to start out with Matthew 18 verses 15 through 17. If another member of the church sins against you, go and point out the fault when the two of you are alone. If the member listens to you, you have regained that one. But if you are not listened to, take one or two others along with you, so that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If the member refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if the offender refuses to listen to even the church, let such a one be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. This verse clearly points out the authority that the church has, saying if someone doesn't listen to the church, they are like a Gentile and tax collector, which was the lowest form of life pretty much for Jewish people, like the most deeply despised groups at the time for Jewish people. So obviously the church is important and has authority, but how do we know which church has this authority? Well, every church claims that the church is important, obviously. Non-denominational churches claim that the church is important. All churches do that. But I was just stating this verse simply to show that the church's authority as an organization is important and not just as a body of believers. The next verse I want to state is 1 Timothy 3, verse 15, which states, and this is where it gets actually into the argument, if I am delayed, you may know how one ought to behave in the household of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and bulwark of the truth. This is so important because this is saying the church is the foundation of truth itself. And hold up, you would agree with me, non-denominational friends, that your different non-denominational churches have different views on very important things, not just second-hand theology, things like baptism and the Eucharist, for example. These things are important. So, if the church is the pillar and foundation of truth, then how can the church contradict itself? Obviously, the non-denominational church is not the church that Christ set up and intended for Christians to go to. The truth is, your church has no authority. If someone disagrees with your church, they can just go to the church next door that agrees with them, and everything's la-di-doo-dah alright, but that's not what Christ intended. The church Christ established is singular, authoritative, has apostolic succession, and has the papacy. And only one church has that, and that is the Catholic Church. And guys, it's not just even if my denomination isn't necessarily right, I still love and follow Jesus, and that's all that matters. Guys, the church we read is the pillar and foundation of truth. If you are not in the right church, your foundation is not of truth. And Jesus, remember what Jesus is? He's the way, the truth, and the light. Which means that the foundation of your church isn't on Jesus because it's not on the truth. Which means your church doesn't have Jesus. Remember, if you're not in the right church and disagree with the true church, then you're like a Gentile and tax collector. The lowest form, the most highly unrespected group for Jews at the time. Genuinely, think about that. So literally, if you do not choose the right church, you put your salvation in jeopardy by being separated from Christ's truth. So what do we learn from today? Come home. Come to the Catholic Church and leave behind the foolish thinking that your denomination doesn't matter, because it does, biblically. Thank you. God bless, and submit to Jesus Christ through the Roman Pontiff. Bye.